We're going to go through chapter 8, and this is from the Used Car Manager's Ultimate Playbook. And we're going to go through each point, and there's 10 points in chapter 8, and we're going to break them all down for you right now. And for those of you who've been following along, thank you for sticking in with me this long. But here is chapter 8, and this is probably the more controversial one of all of them. You know, I did a post on LinkedIn on this specific example, and man, I had a lot of people, oh, you're stealing from me, or, you know, a lot of used car managers thinking this way. But at the end of the day, you want to have a healthy inventory, and you want to have speed in your recon department. This is the way to go. So recon costs and door rate discipline. Stop giving away margin. And think about that for a minute. And there's actually a whole different conversation here. Specifically, when you take in a trade that your cost to market is very low, the last thing you want to do is give away your margin. And some dealers might say, oh, you know what, my guys are really good. I promise you, everybody's selling from cost. They see how much it is, and whatever your current average is, call your average, you know, 2 grand, 3 grand. And they say, well, I'm taking a skinny deal, and they move on because they want a unit. You're pushing them to get volume. You want some units, so they're going to take a skinny deal, when reality is that specific model should be making a lot more. So let's go through this, and here's a way to do this as an owner or an operator, and more importantly as a used car manager. You don't want to be the guy that's known for giving away the vehicles. You want to be the one known that, hey, you're an operator, you're looking at from an ownership lens, and you're making the company more profitable, and as a result you end up making more personally. So here's the hidden leak. Here's the truth. Most used car departments don't lose profit at the desk, they lose it at recon. It happens quietly. Internal work billed at a discounted rate, delays waiting for approvals, techs prioritizing customer pay. The problem isn't the service department, it's the lack of structure. So you don't lose money at the desk, you're losing it in recon delays and sloppy processes. When you implement this structure where you increase your recon to door rate, I promise you, your recon techs are moving a little bit faster. They don't feel like their services are being discounted, and it's really good for the store, and more importantly to get that speed going, because we already talked about holding costs in the past. You don't want to have a car sitting in your lot 10 days because someone couldn't find the key. You want to get that urgency with the techs. They're trying to get those cars out in front line for you fast enough, because they're trying to get to the next one as well. You can't build retail ready used car operation if your internal labor rate doesn't match your store's real cost. Here's rule number 1. If you're not charging door rate on recon, you're lying to yourself about profit. And I get the arguments, oh, you're stealing from my guys, you're increasing the door rate, or you're increasing my internal rate to door rate, and now my commissions, and I've heard it. So, but I'm telling you, this is what I've seen success in every store that I've been to, and seen it work across the board. So, and so here's step 2, or point 2, what recon really costs. Recon isn't just parts and labor. The real killers are downtime, holding cost, and lost opportunity. You think about every car that is just sitting there waiting for some next step. It's burning a hole in your pocket every day. Recon isn't just parts and labor, it's time, opportunity, and turn. When a car hits your service drive, every hour it sits waiting on the RO is adding to your holding costs. Let's apply your baseline math. You know, we've been talking in the previous chapters of $46 per day holding costs. Average recon time, say it's 5 days. That's $230 burned before the car even hits the photo booth, not counting the actual recon bill. So you start thinking, man, you know, just adding those extra couple of days, it starts turning into real money. So the true cost of discounting. Discounted internal labor rate hides in the real expense. A $50 an hour discount, 100 cars, that's 25 grand lost in a month. You feel helpful in the moment and broke on the statement. Think about that from an ownership standpoint, the opportunity there. But then more importantly, if you're not putting that there, that's potential margin that you're just discounting because you feel like you've got a little bit more room in the car. But that makes you hold your front end. And I promise you, every time we've done this at every store, the margin stays the same. You just get better at holding that margin. And let's go ahead and break this down a little bit more. So when you look at that $25,000, that's really a fake savings that directly cuts the service gross and indirectly slows down your used car term. So yes, on the surface you think, hey, I just saved the used car department 25 grand, but you cost the service department 25 grand, and more importantly, your service department is not moving those cars fast enough. So reality is that costs you even more money. If your net to gross is 30%, that's $7,500 off your bottom line just from underbilling recon. More importantly, if you just increase that amount, your used car front end stays the same, and reality is you're holding your people more accountable to the process and trying to get that car front line. So rule number 3, every time you discount recon, you're training your service department to lose money and your sales team to expect shortcuts. And that's the big killer right there. So 4, this is speed is everything. Target 3-day recon from intake to frontline. You shave off 2 days in recon, that correlates into bigger money. More importantly, faster turning for your used car team. Slow recon crushes turn rate, gross, and cash flow. You can't sell cars that are still in the shop. I mean, you'll have somebody argue that, oh yeah, I sell cars out of the shop all the time, but what ends up happening with those vehicles? It's not a good customer experience to wait a week or longer, depending on where they're at in the process. So let's break it down. Speed. Every recon process should target 3 days or less from trade to frontline. That means same day RO approvals and next day parts orders. No, I'll get to it when I can. The clock starts when the car lands. Cost, charge door rate, period. Internal work should make money, not cover up inefficiency. Your recon department is part of the business, not charity. And number 3, transparency. Every recon RO should be visible to both sales and service, cost, notes, and time and status. When everyone can see the lag, and the lag disappears. So what gets measured improves. Specifically, you can see who's holding up the line. And rule number 4, recon works best when everyone feels the clock. Door rate discipline. Internal work must be billed at full door rate. Discounting internal labor trains everyone to ignore true cost. Time is more expensive than labor. Don't hide it. Here's what managers always say. If we charge full door rate, we'll never make money on the front. The real reason to charge door rate is accountability. When sales sees the true cost of recon, they stop overpaying on trades. When service earns full rate, they prioritize internal work. Everyone starts respecting time again. Let's look at the math. If your average recon costs $800 at $160 an hour door rate and drop to $120 to help sales, you save $200 a car. But with 5 days of extra hold time, $46 a day, you lose $230. So reality is it costs you $30 just because you did that. And then more importantly, to get it to the front line, it just slows everything down. That's a negative ROI. You gave up time to gain nothing. And rule number 5, time is always more expensive than labor. The 5-step recon flow. So day 0, day the car gets there, intake and RO estimate is open. So day 1, mechanical repairs completed or parts are on order. Day 2, detail and cosmetic work finished with QC. Photos taken and unit live online. That's how quickly that car should be frontline. Day 0, you got to make sure its vehicle's tagged, entered into recon software immediately. If you don't have recon software, you've got to make sure that you've got a spreadsheet or some way to track the time of that vehicle. ROs created and approved. estimated. You got to get the estimate to send as via text or message to the used car manager for approval the same day. And then repair and parts, text assigned same day, parts are ordered before noon. Like that should be moving. That's how fast it should be moving. Day 2 to 3, you have the car cleaned, inspected, and ready for photo, and then photos and online. That car should be listed before the end of the day online with the photos. And if you don't have a good photo taker or someone that's in charge of that process, get one and fire them immediately if they can't handle it. If you follow that rhythm, your recon to frontline stays under 72 hours and your profit velocity skyrockets. So rule number 6, fast, visible, accountable. That's the recon rhythm that prints money. Internal RO rules. Every RO approved the same day it's written. Bill at door rate, no special internal rate. QC and detail time stamped. No RO closed until photos are live and the car is online. And to keep the recon process tight and honest, every store should have a clear internal RO standards. And you just have to have that policy written in stone. All estimates approved within 24 hours, no exceptions. And there's got to be accountability there. If they're not doing it, you need to find someone that can. Photos before close, door rate billing, detailed ticket required, QC sign off. And make sure you as a manager go through it and sign off on it. This creates operational consistency, no finger pointing. Rule number 7, discipline beats discussion every time. Visibility equals accountability. Recon status should be visible to sales, service, and managers. When everyone sees what's stuck, it gets unstuck faster. What's visible gets done. Remember that term, what gets measured gets improved. So it's super important that everyone knows what's going on. All right, so let's break down the real world math. Okay, so here's 2 different examples. Okay, so one, you got store A, they have $120 an hour recon rate, and then store B's got $160. If they same 5 hours to fix the car, that's $600 in recon at store A, and then $800 in store B. So that's $200 per car that you're already improving in service. But then now let's flip it to recon time in days and what it costs in holding costs. So say that same store with the discounted rate takes 6 days to turn their inventory through recon. Your holding cost is 276 days. And then you've got store B is now at 3 days, their holding cost is now 138 days. So you cut the holding cost in half. So now what's that car really costing you? So net profit impact, slower turn cuts 15% of the volume, faster turn adds 15% of the volume. So by charging door rate, store B might spend $62 more per car, but turns cars twice as fast, moves an extra 15 units, and that's $52,000 more per month. That's the difference between operating and optimizing. Rule number 8, speed pays more than shortcuts. These are some key metrics to track. Recon time per unit under 3 days, internal labor rate billed at full door rate, 0 invisible inventory stuck offline, weekly recon, audit, time, cost, and bottlenecks. All of these things need to be tracked, and you look at them daily. But here's the bottom line. Recon is the single most controllable expense in your used car operation, and one of the biggest levers for profit. If you control recon speed and charge properly, you'll always have cleaner cars, faster turns, and higher net. If you let it slide, it'll quietly drain your month before you even start. Final rule, you can't fix gross with shortcuts, only with structure. Run recon like a business inside your business, because when recon runs fast at door rate, the whole dealership runs better.